All right, thanks so much once again for joining us. I want to continue talking about this whole notion of acidity and osteoporosis and pH and ways that you can get that pH of your blood up without having to deal with foods. I'm not a big believer in using foods to raise your pH. I'll tell you what I mean. When I say that here in a little bit. Before we get to all that, I want to quickly address a story that's been hitting the news wires the last couple of days. And it involves phosphorus, our subject matter for the last couple of days, a couple of weeks actually, and phospholipids and lecithin, and it also involves the B vitamin substance choline. There was a study that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. I think it was published just a couple of days ago. And it supposedly showed that gut bacteria in the large intestine break down lecithin and choline into something called TMAO. Some of you may have seen this. TMAO stands for trimethylamine oxide. We'll just call it TMAO. The TMAO, the stuff that comes, that gets processed from lecithin and choline, and eggs and foods that contain lecithin, TMAO is supposedly linked to heart disease. And now the mainstream media is making this huge jump and saying that eggs and lecithin-containing foods and the supplement choline are supposedly not good for your heart. Hopefully I'm not going to hear any doctors parroting this nonsense, but it's in the mainstream media. You do a quick Google search, you're going to find headlines from the New York Times and ABC News and the LA Times, even one of my favorite nutritional publishing houses, New Hope Publishing, the supposed alternative type news outlet. They're all screaming about how eggs and lecithin and choline, which is a super, super important amino acid. They're all screaming about how these things are linked to heart disease. And this comes out on top of a study that was released a few weeks ago implicating meat and the amino acid carnitine with the production of TMAO. I wasn't going to bring this up because it's just so silly, but I think it's important, especially considering the fact that it seems to be all over the internet, that we address this whole issue of carnitine and choline and TMAO, and are eggs heart-friendly or is meat heart-friendly? With this article that came out a couple of weeks ago, they said carnitine and meat cause heart disease. Carnitine and meat are implicated in heart disease or linked to heart disease. Here's the problem with these kind of conclusions, the way I see it. And this is aside from the very important and relevant fact that all of these substances that we're talking about, choline, lecithin, phosphorus, carnitine, all of these substances that are supposedly so dangerous for your health, they're all made by our bodies. Lecithin is made by our bodies. Lecithin is arguably one of the most important biochemicals in the body. Bile is largely composed of lecithin, and bile is super important for heart health and for overall health. All of these things that are supposed to be so bad for us are made by our body. Now, aside from the fact, and despite the fact that there is voluminous literature published over the course of at least 50 years that support the use of these substances as not only being gentle and non-toxic and benign, but as being very, very, very important for overall health and for cardiovascular health. Lecithin is key for your heart. It's critical for heart health. So are the components in eggs. So is the amino acid carnitine. So is the B vitamin substance like choline. And to say that these things are linked to heart disease is asinine. So here's what I think about this. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Give us a call, 855-660-4261. If you've heard about this study, if you've got questions about this study, I want to know what you guys think. This is what I think. Yes, it's possible the chemicals like TMAO, which are technically a class of chemicals called methylamines, and yes, it's possible that you can have higher levels of these things when you eat certain substances, foods, perhaps vitamins like choline, which are found in foods, lecithin. Yes, it's possible your TMAO levels are going to go up. And yes, it's possible that when these chemicals go up, they can result in a certain amount of blood toxicity. I say it's possible. It's not proven, but it's possible. I agree. TMAO, it's possible, based on its chemical structure, that there may be some kind of link between elevations of TMAO and compounds like that and heart disease. Fats in general tend to produce these kinds of compounds, and so do some amino acids. Fats and proteins are tricky to process, and they break down into some unfriendly compounds in the short term. Basically, these kinds of materials, fats, lecithin, phospholipids, amino acids, like carnitine, the B vitamin choline, they feed bacteria in the gut. Bacteria like these things just like we do. Bacteria like fats and bacteria like phospholipids and fatty substances and choline and lecithin just as much as we do. They get nutriated from these substances like our cells get nutriated from these substances. That's just how it works. food can be a problem. Yes, all food. Food is very tricky business. This is what we talk about on the bright side almost every day. Food is toxic. All food. It's hard to process. I should say potentially toxic. It's hard to process, and food can produce any food. I'm talking tomatoes, spinach, healthy foods, good foods, eggs can produce toxic compounds when bacteria start to process them. The act of digestion, even under the best of circumstances, under normal, healthy circumstances, can result in the production of these kinds of wastes. This is why we have to be careful about what we eat and how we eat. But we need to eat. All right, I got more to say about this when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Our number 855-660-4261. If you want to get on board, if you've got comments or questions, or you want to know anything about the longevity products, if you want to talk about this whole TMAO issue and eggs. Yet another article vilifying eggs. Somebody really has it in for eggs for some reason, and I don't know why, because, man, you couldn't pick a more nutritionally dense food for your entire body, especially for your heart. A couple days ago, an article came out in the New England Journal of Medicine that supposedly showed that gut bacteria, so-called probiotics, can convert some of the substances in eggs, the lecithin in eggs, the phospholipids in eggs, into heart-unfriendly compounds, things like something called TMAO, which is a class of substances called methyl oxides or methylamine oxides. TMAO, by the way, is related to something called fish odor syndrome. TMAO is derived from a compound called TMA, and TMA smells like fish. Some folks who can't make TMAO from TMA walk around smelling like fish, and it can be very unpleasant and socially debilitating, unfortunately. It can be caused by liver problems, metabolic issues. Sometimes people are born with a deficiency in enzymes that can cause this. In any case, this TMAO stuff is basically a bacterial waste product. Bacteria will eat lecithin, bacteria like choline, bacteria like phospholipids, and they'll eat this stuff, and then they'll excrete this TMAO. TMAO is an excretory substance. It's a waste substance that bacteria produce from foods. The point is, you can't eliminate the foods because the foods are key, especially foods like eggs and lecithin. We need to eat, and we need to eat well. We have trillions of bacterial cells that live inside us. They live with us. They are our best friends. They're our best nutritional friends because they process foods, they make vitamins, they purify our blood, they help the digestive process, they make good fats for the digestive tract, they fight yeast and other bacteria, they protect us from cancer, and they need to eat too. And they eat basically what we eat. Anything that we eat is likely to feed these little critters. That doesn't mean we don't eat. And that certainly doesn't mean we don't eat super powerful, healthy foods like eggs and lecithin. But bacteria like eggs too. And one of the things that these bacteria produce as a result of processing and digesting eggs and phospholipids and lecithin are the methyl oxides, these TMAO-like substances. The methyl oxides, TMAO, there's another one called DMAO. These methyl oxides, these TMAOs and DMAOs that have been linked to heart disease, are the bacteria's excrement. They're the bacteria's waste. They're the bacteria's version of poop. And like all crap, all waste, it's not supposed to be hanging around. That's why the body has many mechanisms for dealing with these chemicals, with these bacterial waste products, the TMAOs and DMAOs, these methylamine oxides. The liver has enzymes for processing them, and most of this stuff is eliminated very, very effectively. When the researchers at the New England Journal of Medicine did these tests, what they did is they fed people eggs, and then they measured the TMAO. They didn't measure it over the course of a day or a week or a month. In fact, I can't even find anything in the article that says how long they measured the TMAO levels, but they didn't measure them over the course of weeks or months or years. They measured them immediately, not taking into account that under healthy circumstances, that TMAO would get dumped out of the body quite efficiently. TMAO is a waste product, but the body has many mechanisms for dumping it out. The liver has enzymes for processing it. Most of it's going to get excreted through your urine. Some of it will get excreted through feces. The reason that elevated methylamines are associated with heart disease is basically the same reason that anything is associated with heart disease, and it has to do with something we talk about all the time. If your TMAO levels are high, that can be a problem, but it's not the egg's fault, and it's not the lecithin's fault, and it's not the phospholipid's fault. And to say, oh, well, TMAO has been associated with heart disease, so you shouldn't eat eggs, is nonsense. If your levels of TMAO, which very well could be a toxic substance for the heart, if they're elevated, blame your digestive system. It's something we talk about here all the time. Yes, probiotics, bacteria, the gut is connected to heart disease. Problems in these areas are connected to heart disease. We talk about this every day. Trimethylamines are not the issue. The issue is bad blood chemistry following a messed up digestive system, a broken down digestive tract. And this is what leads to an accumulation of the waste, of the bacterial waste that comes from food. Don't blame the eggs. Don't blame the lecithin. It's not the fault of the food. Avoiding eggs and lecithin and choline is simplistic and it's silly. In the case of lecithin and eggs, not only are these substances innocent bystanders, they are mother loads of nutrition. They're a gold mine of nutrients that make your heart strong, that make your heart healthy. Nutrients like vitamin A and vitamin D and zinc and precious, precious phospholipids. Don't blame these healthy foods. It's not their fault. What we need to be doing, instead of staying away from these powerful and important foods and supplements, what we need to be doing is fixing our guts, fixing our digestive systems, which is our main theme here on the bright side. It may be the fault of too much food, and we certainly are eating too much food. We don't eat anywhere near the amount of calories that we're getting. But more than likely, what we're talking about here is the fault of a toxic digestive environment, a toxic blood environment that throws off the processing and the elimination of these kind of compounds. Is elevated TMAO and DMAO problematic? Perhaps. Certainly the chemistry of trimethylamine oxide implicates it in poisonous reactions. The way TMAO is shaped as a chemical leads a chemist to believe there could be some problems. The chemistry is set up for DMAO and TMAO being problematic. That's why the body eliminates the stuff. These kinds of chemicals are unstable. That's why we have a liver. And that's why you want to be careful about how we eat. But this is a far cry from saying that eggs or lecithin or choline or anything that we eat in terms of these power foods is associated with heart disease. All right, that's all I want to say about that. If you have comments, or if you have any questions about that whole topic, about DMAO and TMAO and lecithin and heart disease, you're welcome to call 855-660-4261, 855-660-4261. I got so much more I want to talk about when it comes to acid and osteoporosis, this whole idea of acid blood and alkalinizing. Acid blood, if your blood is acidic, it is a sign of inflammation. Blood is not supposed to be acidic. When you have acid blood, when the blood is acidic, remember the blood's got to be slightly alkaline. When the blood is acidic, this is a sign of inflammation, it's a sign of breakdown, it's a sign of disease. Acid blood is not so much the problem, although it is a little bit of a problem. The big issue, however, is why is the blood acidic? And it's not so much to do with foods. I hear a lot about acid foods, acid-forming foods, alkaline-forming foods, and there may be a small amount of truth to some of these people who are saying, oh, you should stay away from the acid-producing foods, guys like Robert Young, who wrote the book The pH Miracle, which, by the way, has a lot of great stuff in it, although I don't necessarily agree with everything he talks about. This idea of just eating acid foods, just eating alkaline foods, that's not really the problem. Blood acidity is not really caused by foods, mostly, although there may be a slight amount of slight connection. Mostly, if the blood is acidic, you're dealing with metabolic disease, breakdown disease, biochemical disease. And guess where that starts? It starts with a broken down digestive system. For the most part, acidity in the blood is inflammation and breakdown, and this is why acidity in the blood is associated with disease, degenerative disease, and osteoporosis included. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network, 855-660-4260. I think we'll save this the rest of this conversation on blood acidity and osteoporosis, and I'll tell you about coming up on a future Brightside episode. I'm going to tell you a real way to lower your blood acidity, to make your blood more alkaline. That has nothing to do with food, and it's really how our bodies are designed to maintain their alkalinity. There's a system in the body, and some of you guys may know what I'm talking about. There's a system in the body that really is set up to make sure that help make sure that our blood pH stays at 7.38, which is slightly alkaline, slightly electricity sucking, slightly like an electricity vacuum cleaner. And we will continue that discussion on our next, coming up Brightside episode. 855-660-4261 is our number. Welcome to the Brightside. Jack in Indiana. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, you got me?
I got you. What's cooking?
My name is Jeff. I've been talking to you. Now, I've been dealing with another problem besides my pancreas issues. My left leg swells when I'm on it for a couple of hours. But, I know I go home and I put it up in the air and it goes down. It takes me a couple of days to get back to normal.
That's not a good thing, though. Not a good thing, bro. Swelling, clogging means fluids aren't moving around like they should be, and usually that means that something is activating your defense system, your so-called immune system. Now, I'm trying to think. Your voice sounds familiar. Did we talk to you about Oxycontin a couple of weeks back? Was that you?
Yeah. That was my first call to you about the opiate withdrawals and getting off them. I've cut way back.
Good job. You want to think of addictions to painkillers as a brain phenomenon. In fact, you want to think about all addictions are brain phenomena. An addiction is when your brain writes a check that your body can't cash. Your brain says, go get that Oxycontin. Your brain says, go get that sugar. Your brain says, go get that beer or that booze or those cigarettes. And your body says, no, don't go near that stuff. And that's what really addiction is. It's this battle between our brain and our body. So the best way, and I know you're not asking about this, but just for anybody who's out there dealing with some kind of addictive behavior, what you want to do is you want to put your attention into your body and start to pay attention to your body as opposed to your brain. Most of us live in our heads. We live in our minds. We live in our brains. And we do whatever our brains say, no matter whether or not our body is screaming at us. So next time, if you're out there listening and you find yourself addicted to food or addicted to sugar or whatever you're addicted to, and most of us have one addiction or another, see if you can notice a difference between how your brain feels about the food or the booze or the cigarettes or the pills, and how your body feels about the booze or the food or the cigarettes or the pills. And if you can place your attention in the body as opposed to the brain, you may find it easier to wean yourself away from foods or whatever you're addicted to. And I know you didn't ask about that, Jeff, but I just want to throw that out there. As far as your leg swelling goes, it could be due to a lot of things, but the first thing you want to think about is an activation of the immune system, and this could be due to a couple of things. Now, it could be due to something you're putting into your body, or it could be due to something you're not putting into your body. More than likely, it's a combination of the two. Sugar, processed food, white bread, cereals, grains, any kind of food that you have a digestive reaction to, those will activate the immune system, and those can indeed cause inflammation like leg swelling. Secondly, deficiencies in the B complex, deficiencies in certain minerals, that can do it as well. So first and foremost, for any kind of swelling issues, and this is not just for swelling in the legs, but this could also be for restless leg syndrome or any kind of nerve or muscle problems in the legs as well. The first thing you want to do is you want to focus on problem foods. And the way you do that is you look, you search, you try to find digestive symptoms, constipation, diarrhea, loose stools, cramping, bloating, all the things we talk about here on the bright side, and then you want to link them up to specific foods. And don't try to think, don't be under the impression that, I eat really well and, I'm only eating vegetables, so it can't be food, because you could be reacting to anything. You want to link digestive, first you want to find digestive symptoms, then you want to link them up to certain foods. Secondly, you want to use all kinds of digestive support nutrients. Personally, I would be using probiotics. I would be using the digestive enzymes, the ultimate enzymes from Longevity. As we've said many times in this program, digestive enzymes have a 1-2 punch for inflammation. They're anti-inflammatory on their own if you take them on an empty stomach, especially for arthritis pain or dental pain or sinus pain or even migraine headaches. That's if you take them on an empty stomach. And if you take digestive enzymes with food, they're their anti-inflammatory benefits will show up because they'll help your body process foods. Always do your digestive enzymes with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. The enzymes are activated by acid. If you're not making enough stomach acid and you take your digestive enzymes, you're not going to get the full benefit of those digestive enzymes. They won't be activated, and many people are not making enough digestive acid. Folks, do not underestimate the power of apple cider vinegar as a nutritional supplement and as a digestive support aid on its own. Not even talking about with digestive enzymes. Just using apple cider vinegar, if you have gas or you have bloating or you have any kind of digestive discomfort after meals, just using apple cider vinegar can make a huge difference. And Jeff, you said you had a pancreas problem. Well, one of the big problems with the pancreas is it's waiting for acid, for an acid-drenched, acid-coated food to come out of the stomach into the intestine. When we eat food, that food is supposed to be coated with acid, saturated with acid, and that's one of the things that triggers the pancreas. If we're not making enough stomach acid, that triggering is not going to occur. So using digestive acid-supporting supplements like apple cider vinegar or betaine HCl, which is another acid-supporting supplement, these can help the pancreas tremendously. So apple cider vinegar, digestive enzymes can also be helpful. Then there's supplements that you could take specifically for inflammation, specifically for the circulatory system. One of the all-time great supplements for the circulatory system, for opening up blood vessels, for keeping things moving as they should be, is niacin, vitamin B3. You'll get a little bit of niacin in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the Ultimate Daily. Most nutritional supplements, most of the longevity nutritional supplements will get you a little niacin. But if I had a circulatory problem and I had swelling issues, I'd be using 100 milligrams of niacin, 100 milligrams or so of niacin timed release, in addition to the entire B complex and niacin. Magnesium can also be very helpful. Get on the OsteoFX. Make sure you're using around 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of magnesium a day. Make sure you're getting all of your electrolytes, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sodium, chloride. All these electrolytes can help with the circulatory system. They're very, very important for keeping things moving as they should. The Beyond Tangy is a great way to get electrolytes. In fact, that's one of the reasons this Beyond Tangy Tangerine, this BTT, excels as a nutritional supplement, is because of its electrolytes. The regular Tangy Tangerine will have electrolytes. Vegetable juices have electrolytes in them. You should be doing, with all the stuff you got going on, Jeff, you should be doing vegetable juices all day. Get yourself a Vitamix. It's a little bit expensive, around $400 or so, but it's well worth it. Wonderful insurance program, health insurance program of Vitamix, and you want to be making veggie juices and veggie soups all day. Hang tight, a couple more things I want to tell you, Jeff. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to you when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. All right, we're back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben, talking to Jeff in Indiana about leg swelling. A couple more things I want to tell you in addition to watching out for problem foods. The lymphatic system is really that's the big problem when it comes to swelling in the extremities. And the lymph is processing toxins and poisons out of the digestive system. So you want to really focus on digestive health and wellness. So all the things we talked about, the apple cider vinegar and the digestive enzymes, and staying away from the problem foods is going to be important. The B complex is going to be important. Magnesium and electrolytes are important. A couple more things I want to tell you before we let you go here, buddy, is fiber. Make sure that you're getting enough fiber, and that's where the Vitamix is going to come in handy. You can make your own vegetable juices with fiber. The Vitamix allows you to keep the fiber, where a regular juicer, you lose the fiber, and that fiber can be very important for helping your body clear excess fluids. And then make sure that you're getting enough potassium. The Vitamix will also allow you to get potassium as well as other electrolytes, which can help balance out sodium, which may be causing some of that swelling. Sodium retention can keep fluid in the body, and that may be one of the reasons why your legs are swelling. And last but most certainly not least, Jeff, you got to do a little bit of exercise. You got to move those fluids around. You got to move that lymphatic system around, and don't forget deep breathing. When we deep breathe, we move our lymph. It's one of the best ways, and maybe the best way, to move lymphatic fluids around. Make sure that lymph is moving through the body as it should by breathing, practicing deep breathing, and making sure those muscles in your chest and in your lungs, they're called your intercostal muscles, are moving in and out as you do your deep breathing. Tons of stuff you could do, and I guarantee you, my friend, if you do even 50% of what we just talked about, you're going to start to notice the difference, and you're going to feel better. All right, Jeff?
sit down in storage. But we had no place to put it till like 5.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Which I thought they seemed like they were like people.
I'm just, buddy, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
3 pieces of furniture. And then me and Jen sitting back down there. I'm not bitching. I just want to hear what he's telling you. Because I don't want to be involved in...
Jeff, I cannot hear you, Jeff. I don't know. Okay. All right, Jeff. If you want to call back, you're welcome to call back. I'm having a hard time hearing you, buddy. I'm sorry about that. I hope we helped you out. All right, let's go to JD in Texas. Is this my friend JD?
Yeah, man.
Hey, JD. How you doing?
Guy?
I'm doing good. Nice to talk to you. Nice to talk to you.
Pretty good.
What's going on?
I just turned 78.
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
And, I'm rolling good.
I love it.
I've got a friend. He's a member of Longevity, and he's not under me, but I'm just a friend of mine. And his wife was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease.
Okay.
Is there anything special that he can do?
Well, everything's special.
Okay.
No, nothing out of the ordinary, though, because ALS is a breakdown disease. It's an inflammatory disease of the nerves. There's nothing unique about ALS as far as a degenerative disease goes. It's arthritis of the nerves, or it's osteoporosis of the nerves and the muscles. It's a breakdown disease that's caused by the same thing that causes osteoporosis and that causes any degenerative disease. It's inflammation, and it's a degeneration of the tissue of the nerves and the tissue of the muscles. Number one, avoid anything that is causing inflammation, and that means processed foods. Remember, 90% of what we eat is this kind of ALS causing food. Let me say that again, because that's so important. 90% of the foods that the average American eats are ALS causing foods. So we basically have developed an eating strategy that causes ALS. ALS is like any other degenerative disease. It's an eating disease in large measure. So avoiding these processed foods, these dead foods, is your first strategy. Then correcting digestive issues, and I will guarantee you 100% anybody with ALS has also got a digestive issue. Usually it's going to be constipation. So you got to correct. It could be loose stools too, but usually it's going to be constipation. That means toxicity is staying in the body. So anything you could do to improve the digestive system, probiotics, number one, the nightly essence from Longevity. Anybody with a nerve or muscle issue, folks, nightly essence, probiotics, fermented foods. They're so important. Aside from helping you process your processed foods and produce vitamins, these things are anti-inflammatory on their own. Yes, the nightly essence and probiotics have anti-inflammatory properties on their own. And fermented foods in general, borscht, miso, tempeh, these kinds of foods. Digestive enzymes can be tremendously helpful for folks who have ALS or any kind of inflammatory disease, as we were talking about with our last caller. Take them on an empty stomach and take them with food. The Ultimate Enzymes are a great digestive enzyme supplement. You can also use pancreatin. By the way, the difference between pancreatin and digestive enzymes is digestive enzymes are just the enzymes. They don't necessarily come from the body. Some of them come from pineapple, some of them come from papaya. Pancreatin is actually pancreatic juices, pancreatic extracts that do contain digestive enzymes in addition to some other substances. So both of them can be very helpful. Lecithin can be very helpful, helping the body process fats. Intermittent fasting for ALS, very helpful. In fact, folks who have ALS or multiple sclerosis, and they're very similar to these two disease states, or any kind of nerve or inflammatory issues of the nerves or the muscles, anybody dealing with these problems will benefit tremendously from, number one, intermittent fasting, number two, eating less food, and number three, using liquid nutrients. Liquid nutrition is unbelievably important for people dealing with any inflammatory issue, but especially nerve and muscle health issues. Soups. Bone soup can be helpful for ALS. Vegetable juices, whey protein smoothies, and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Don't forget about essential fatty acids for all nerve health issues, especially omega-3 fats. Lecithin can be very helpful for folks dealing with ALS. The coating on nerve cells contains lots of lecithin. The coating on brain cells contains lots of lecithin. So any kind of nerve disorders, folks will benefit from lecithin. Any brain health issues, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, you'll benefit from these phospholipids. Eggs can be be very helpful. The B vitamins, very, very important for all nerve health issues. I'd be using the BTT all day long. And in addition, I'd be using the Ultimate Daily from Youngevity, and it probably wouldn't hurt you to get on a B100 pill. Then vitamin C can be also helpful for all nerve disease issues. High doses of vitamin C, 10, 15, 20 grams a day of vitamin C. There's so many things you could do here. Magnesium, also very important for nerve health issues. I'd be using 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of magnesium as well. There's so many more things here with JD, but that's a great place for you to start. Understand this, though. If your friend has ALS, let me just say this real quick, JD. If your friend has ALS, you want to really tell him and reinforce to him, and everybody out there listening, if you know somebody who has ALS or MS, please let them know they're not condemned. The body is a healing system. This thing can be turned around, but you got to change your life. The body can turn on a dime, but we got to turn on a dime as well. I'm sorry. Go ahead, JD.
I don't know why. I knew that's what you were going to say.
I say it all the time.
But I needed to hear you say it.
God bless you, JD.
That's essentially what I was thinking that he needed to do. He can't even get his wife to drink tangerine.
Well, you can lead a horse to... You know what,
uphill battle.
That's JD. God loves people who don't supplement too. Jesus loves us all, so God bless him. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how it goes. Thanks so much for calling, JD. Appreciate it. Have a beautiful day, bro. All right, real quick, Dave in NY. What is up? What's going on today?
Did you say Dave?
I said Dave. How you doing?
All right, Ben. It's nice to talk to you. I really appreciate you making it really practical and easy for people to understand stuff,
Thank you.
I got two situations. I got a friend of mine who just got diagnosed with hepatitis C.
Okay.
Guess it's from way back or whatever. It must have been in him. And he's wants to know if there's any natural way. Yes. And you know what? We're going to run out of time, so I'm just going to answer this question. If you want to call back tomorrow, I'll be glad to take your second question. But Hep C is an important issue. Hepatitis is an inflammation in the liver. It can be caused by all kinds of things, and each one of these various things, whether it's a virus or it's a bacteria or whatever it is, they give it a different letter. It doesn't matter what it causes it. The fact is that you have an inflammation in the liver, and this is very understandable considering how we live our lives. The liver does so many things. Next to the skin, the liver is the largest organ in the body. It's the largest organ inside the body. It makes vitamins, it processes fats, it processes sugars, and it's extremely important for detoxification. As toxicity builds up in the body, the liver will suffer. The first thing to do with hepatitis is focus on your foods, eliminate. It does have Hep C. Is there any difference in what you
the difference is in what causes the hepatitis. The hepatitis itself is the same. Dave, I'm so sorry. We're just out of time, my friend. I'll cover hepatitis tomorrow, first thing, on our next show. I'm not going to be doing a show tomorrow, but I'll be covering I'll cover it on our next program that I do for you, and I apologize, Dave. I feel bad about that. I hate leaving people hanging, but that's just how it is. We only have an hour on the bright side. On our next program, we'll continue talking about osteoporosis, and we'll continue talking about acidity, and then we'll start the program off talking about hepatitis as well. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Check out my website, brightsideben.com. Check out my blog, pharmacistben.com, and stay tuned for Alex Jones next on most of these stations. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.